Okay, so this video is going to be about when to raise prices and how to raise prices. Now, a lot of people have asked me for this video. They want to know when they should raise prices and how they should raise prices, and it's requests that came from my video on lawn care and landscape pricing. If you guys haven't watched that, you should probably watch that one first. I will put a link to that video at the end of this one. It'll be up at the top of the screen. So definitely check that one out. If you haven't watched that, check that out first. It is a full video on pricing, methods, processes for lawn care landscaping for the basic guy just starting out. It's not for guys that have been, in the industry for a long time. It probably won't mean much to them, but it's just a basic idea and a starting point for all you guys that are just starting out. So a lot of people have asked, when do I raise my prices and how should I raise my prices? Now, a lot comes into play with that, and there are certain people in certain areas, and again, this depends, like I mentioned in the other video, on what your market is and what it's like in your area, how much competition is in your area, so to speak. Around here, most people go in increments of 5. So for lawn care on a certain lawn, it's like $25, $35, or $25, $30, $35, $40. It goes in increments of 5s. Now, there are some guys that do oddball numbers. Like, I've taken over lawns before, and say I bid it for $30. They would tell me, oh, the last person was charging me $27 or $27.50. I don't do oddball numbers like that for multiple reasons. One, it's just easier for me to do it in increments of 5, and it's easier for me, it's easier for my paperwork at the end of the year with my accountant. It's easier all the way around for a lot of different reasons. So that's how I do it, and that's how most guys in my area do it. But there are some that do them small steps, and if you're in an area where it's real high competition, there's a lawn care company on every corner, you may have to do it like a $2 raise or a $3 raise from year to year. A lot of my properties, I usually give them like 2 years, and then I'll bump them up. Or sometimes they've gone 3 years and I bumped them up. That being said, there's lawns that I bid for the first time, it's my first year doing it, and say I bid that lawn for $40 a week, and I realized real quick that I screwed up, that I need to be charging more for that lawn. Now, what I do is I will continue to mow that lawn as long as I'm not losing too much money, which I've never been that far off. But I will continue to do that lawn for the same price that I gave, and then the following year I'll send them a letter and say, hey, listen, I screwed up, and I should have been doing your lawn for, I bid it for $40 a week, your lawn is worth $50 a week, but I'm going to bump you up to $45. I'm going to meet you in the middle. And then I explain to them, I didn't raise you right off the bat when I realized I screwed up, because I stick to my word and I gave you that price. And that's one thing I'm a big proponent of, is not changing your price after you give it to the customer, which I also explained in that other video about if you, like for landscaping, if you bid a job for 5 yards of mulch and realize real quick that you are going to run out and you needed 7 yards, some guys will go back to that customer and say, I gotta get a little more money for this because I was short. And like I mentioned in that video, I don't ever do that. I eat it, and I realize I made the mistake, and you eat that. Because once you give a customer that price and then they agree to it, and then halfway through the job you go and change that price, they're probably never going to call you back, because you gave them your word and they agreed to that price, and then you backed out of it. So I don't do that. And the same comes into play with lawn care. Once I give that price, I stick to it. Even if I realize I should have been charging a little more, I stick to that price, and then I raise them the next year. Now, there's a handful of customers I've had over the years, and some I still have now. Like, I have one lawn, I'm thinking of it because I'm passing it right now, but that lawn is at $40 a week, and I've been at that price for a long time. Well, 3 years, about 3 years I've been mowing that lawn, and she should be about 45, and that's probably reasonable, but I don't raise her, and I haven't raised her in 3 years, and I'm not gonna raise her. And the reason being is because I never hear from her. She never bitches, she never complains. Every single week when I go there, it doesn't matter if it's in the heat of summer, in spring, or when I went there to do her leaves this fall and it's cold outside, she comes out every single week and hands me a bottle of water. Every week. It's religious. It's right there. There's been a couple weeks where she wasn't home and she knew that was her day of the week for service, and she left it by the door. She left a bottle of water there. And she makes sure that I have that bottle of water every week. There's been, on my birthday, she came out and handed me a slice of cake. You know, she remembered that we had talked, you know, a while before that when my birthday was and that it was coming up. So she left me a piece of cake and a bottle of water, or she brought a piece of cake and a bottle of water out to me that week when I was there, which happened to actually be right on my birthday. And when I went there to do her leaves, I couldn't do it because it had snowed that morning, but only a little bit, and some areas didn't have snow, so I went by to check on her leaves anyway. Turned out there was snow, so I told her, you know, I'll be back during the week to check on it again as soon as it melts, I'll get it cleaned up. She handed me a $50 bill, and Ryan was with me to help me do it, and she handed him a 20 and said, here, thank you guys so much for just coming by and staying up on it and checking on it. And I thought that was really awesome that she had done that. She didn't have to do that, and it's not the first time she had done that. And then when I billed her out for her leaves after I'd done them, she had texted me and said, can you just tell me the amount? You don't have to send me a bill, and I'll just send you a check. And I said, well, this is what I charged you last year, but I knocked $50 off that because you already gave me a 50, and so this is what you owe. And she said, no, that 50 was for you. And she wrote me out a check for the full amount anyway and sent it to me. So for reasons like that, I don't raise her, and I'm not going to raise her. Now, sometimes you just have customers that are just a pain in the butt lawn, and you know, they come out and they talk to you every week and they slow you down, and they want to have a 15-20 minute conversation with you every week and put you behind, and they're nice people, but at the same time they do that every week, and you have to take that into account. Okay, now, you know, I priced this lawn right, but now I'm losing money on that because of that situation every week, so I'm going to bump them up, you know, another $5, or like I said, if your area is real competitive, you might want to just bump them up like $2 or $3 or something, you know, to make up for that time that you're losing there. You don't want to just drop the lawn because, you know, it's really not a pain in the butt lawn. It's an easy lawn to do, but you got to take that other stuff into account, and you have to be paid for your time. So you bump them up a couple bucks and make it worth it. Now, there's lawns that just turn out to be a real pain in the butt. Maybe it's not a situation where they come out and talk to you every week, but you know, they're adding new stuff every week. It seems like every week when you go there, there's a new flower bed, there's a new plant, there's a tree they planted in the middle of the yard, there's this, there's that, and now that's more trimming you have to do, or maybe more edging you have to do every single week, which is keeping you there longer. Now, in situations like that, you know, I've had it to where, you know, it's just out of control, it's just too much, and I really didn't like the lawn anyway, and I just dropped the lawn. But it can also be a situation where it's really not a bad lawn, and it's not hard to do, and you don't mind doing the lawn, but there's just more and more every week. So in that case, you're going to want to up it there. You know, whatever your increments are, you're going to want to up it a couple bucks, or even that $5 to the next level, to make up for the extra time that you're there. Now, a big problem that a lot of people have is they're nervous about upping the cost, because they're nervous that the customer's going to drop them, or they're nervous that, you know, the customer's going to just give them a lot of grief about it. Now, I can't tell you how to solve that. I can give you some ideas and some pointers, but that's going to come down to you being able to feel out that customer. What's that customer like? You know, if that lawn becomes a real pain in the butt, and you tell them, hey, you know, I've been doing it for $30 a week for 2 years, but, you know, you just keep adding more stuff, and, you know, it's more time that I'm here. You know, I'd like to raise you $10 a week, but how about I just raise you $5, and we kind of meet in the middle to make up for the extra time I'm here. If you present it to them that way, a lot more times than not, they're going to say, you know, okay, that's fair, let's do that. Because they know that you want to raise them 10, but you're telling them right off the bat, you're not going to raise them 10, you're only going to raise them 5. You know, it's all in how you present it. You know, you can't just come out and just say, you know, listen, you keep adding all kinds of stuff there, I'm raising you $5 a week. I mean, we got to make it worth my time. You know, if you do that, you know, they could take offense to it, and they could say, well, you know what, forget it, I'm just going to call somebody else, and you're out that lawn. So it's all in how you present it to them, and it's all in how you talk to them. It's like anything else in this world. You're going to get a much better reaction out of somebody by how you talk to them and how you treat them. The one thing you don't want to do is just raise them and not tell them. I've seen that happen a number of times. I've had new customers call me and say, you know, I had this guy for years and years, and then one year he just started mowing again. I thought we were on the same plan, everything's the same, nothing changed, because it never has. And then all of a sudden I get my invoice at the end of that first month of the mowing season, and they're charging me $5 a week more than they were before. Now I didn't have a problem with that, but they didn't tell me. You know, they didn't come to me and say, hey, listen, we're going to raise you a little bit more, which I'd have been fine with, but they just didn't tell me, and that felt real sneaky to me. It felt like, you know, we didn't have any relationship with the contractor, and like we didn't build that relationship with them over the years, and like we're on two different pages now, and I just didn't like the way they had done it. And so I had to let them go. That's not the type of person I want to trust to be on my property when I'm not home. So I've gotten lawns, and I've heard that story as well, and you know, that really shies people away, and that really sets people off. So you have to let them know. Go talk to them. If you're mowing season, like for instance, you know, some years I've gotten lucky and I've started my first week of cuts like the second week of April, but usually it's the first to second week of May that our lawn care season starts in my area. What I do is usually the beginning to mid-February, or sometimes I've even done it as late as the end of February, but no later than the beginning of March. I know that all kind of sounds confusing, but no later than the beginning of March, I contact every one of my customers from the previous year. And no matter what the situation is, 90% of my customers, it's all done by email, my contact, my invoicing, everything. So I'll either email them, or the ones that, you know, still use snail mail, I'll print out a letter and I'll send it to them. And I just ask them right off the bat. I never automatically assume, because you never know. I send them a letter and say, you know, just inquiring if you would like to continue lawn service for this upcoming season. Nothing has changed. Your day of the week is still the same, or if I've changed their day of the week, you know, I tell them, you know, I moved you to this day of the week. I just had to rearrange my routes, and you are now on this day of the week. Your price is the same, or I've had to change your price this year. This is what it is, and this is why I've changed it. And I send the letter out. Now, you know, sometimes I'll ask a customer, you know, if you have any issues with me changing your day of the week from Thursday to Tuesday, you know, please contact me and I'll see what we can work out. And, you know, I do that because every year I reevaluate my routes, because throughout a season, you know, I'll start thinking to myself, man, if I just bumped these two lawns over to this day, my route would be more condensed in that day instead of going to the same area twice. So I always send that letter out, and I always let them know before the beginning of the season. And another reason why I do that is because you can't just assume you're going to have them again the following year. Something may have happened over the winter. Their financial circumstances may have changed. They may have already scheduled a different lawn service. Maybe they're not happy with you for whatever reason. Maybe it is your price. Maybe it's the service that you're doing. They thought you would do more than what you're actually doing, or whatever the case may be. And they just already have something else in place, or maybe they've passed away over the winter. I've had that happen many times, and I'm not going to take that chance of not getting paid. And that's usually how that ends up going, is you'll just start mowing because you'll automatically assume you're just mowing them again. You've been mowing them for a few years, and here comes the beginning of the season, and you just start mowing. At the end of the month, you send that invoice out and you don't get paid. And then somebody will contact you. We'll just say, you know, to keep it simple, we'll just say that it's a situation where somebody had passed away. So you know, their relative contacts you and says, oh, such and such passed away over the winter, I'm sorry, you know, we didn't even think with everything going on to contact you to tell you we didn't want service anymore. You know, we'll get a check out to you to get you paid for your first month, and then all of a sudden you never get a check. You know, that's that, and they're just not going to pay you. So I've had those situations happen, so I make sure to always contact them before the season starts. So I know I've kind of gone off in a little bit of a different direction, other than just when to raise your price and how to raise your price, but you know, that's just a small example of how I do it, and maybe that works for you, maybe it doesn't, but it may give you an idea based off what I said. You know, maybe you're thinking to yourself, that's not going to work for me, but some of the stuff that I just said in there gives you an idea of what you want to do or what you need to do moving forward. So hopefully that'll help you out, and you know, hopefully I didn't ramble on too long. But like I said, if you didn't watch the first video about pricing for lawn care and landscaping, I will link that right here at the end, and go ahead and check that video out. There's a lot of very important and useful information there based on the feedback that I've gotten. And the next video pertaining to this whole idea and this whole aspect about starting a lawn care service is going to be about marketing. So be on the lookout for that. Stay tuned for that. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do subscribe, hit that bell. You'll get a notification whenever I post a new video, which I post pretty frequently, and my videos range in all different types of areas, usually all based on lawn care and landscaping. So hopefully something somewhere along the way, either my past videos or ones coming up, you'll find something that can help you out.